Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through our material today because, well, we're looking at a story that's going to completely transform how you look at a beautiful landscape. We're taking a dramatic journey here. We're stepping away from a modern, picturesque tourist destination, and we're rewinding the clock way, way back to its truly terrifying supernatural origins. It's a story about human nature, folklore, and honestly, the catastrophic consequences of hidden emotions.
Okay, let's dive into this. So, how did a mother's broken heart literally wipe an entire village off the map? We're looking at a scenario where grief doesn't just result in sadness. It results in total apocalyptic devastation. This isn't just some localized dispute, right? This is about a grieving mother pushed entirely beyond the brink, and a village that just ceases to exist. But to understand how we get to such an extreme climax, we've got to go back to the very beginning.
Section 1. A village divided by envy. Now, what's really interesting here is how this all starts. Long ago, there was this young man named Siwa. He was an only child, meaning he was the absolute center of his parents' universe, just deeply, deeply loved. And on one hand, he was universally considered the most handsome guy in the village. Basically, every single girl was practically waiting by the door for him to propose. But on the other hand, whenever any other young man tried to propose to a girl, they'd get the exact same answer, "No thanks, I'm waiting for Siwa." As you can imagine, this constant rejection cultivated a deeply rooted, bitter jealousy among the other men. They blamed Siwa entirely for their own romantic failures, and man, that anger was just about to boil over.
Section 2. The plot at the cliff. So as the resentment of these rejected suitors festered, it turned into this premeditated, truly evil conspiracy. The plot was just cold and calculated. Step 1. They lure Siwa into the forest under the completely normal guise of collecting firewood. No red flags there, right? Step 2. They'd guide him near a deep cliff where a palm tree stands. But here's the catch. They had already secretly partially cut down this tree. They pressure him to climb it. Siwa actually hesitates, saying he can't do it, but not wanting to argue with his friends, he gives in. And then, step 3. The moment he reaches the top, they strike. They chop through the remaining trunk. The tree collapses, and Siwa is violently launched right toward the abyss of the cliff.
But against all odds, Siwa doesn't fall all the way down. He miraculously manages to grab onto the side of the deep cliff, just clinging on for dear life. But you know what the most chilling part of this is? His attackers don't finish the job, and they certainly don't help him. They simply turn their backs and walk away. They go right back to the village as if absolutely nothing happened, leaving him hanging over the void.
Section 3. A cruel betrayal.
Now we had a really tragic turning point where frantic parental love collides with just absolute malice. As evening rolls in, Siwa's parents realize he hasn't come home. They actually go and ask the very men who pushed him, and these guys lie straight to their faces, claiming they know nothing. Filled with panic, the parents go searching in the dark. I mean, imagine the sensory drama here, scanning this dangerous cliffside in the dead of night. Until finally, echoing up from the darkness, they hear their only child's desperate cry, "Mother, Father, please help me." They're shocked, obviously, but just flooded with relief that he's still alive. They yell down to him to hold on while they find a rope.
Let's look at how this builds, because the devastation unfolds rapidly over the next few hours. At dusk, the parents find him and lower a rescue rope, telling him to hold tight. But, it's nightfall, and Siwa has been hanging there all day without food. So his parents make the fateful decision to briefly run home to fetch him something to eat while he waits to be pulled up. But moments later, tragedy strikes. The jealous men had secretly followed them. While the parents are gone, these men creep up to the cliff's edge and deliberately slice the rope. When the parents finally return with the food, calling out, "Siwa, Siwa," they're met with nothing but a terrifying dead silence. They know instantly their son is gone.
Section 4. The Mother's Dark Pact.
The grief of losing their only child is absolute. They are entirely heartbroken. Unable to accept this cruel injustice, the mother seeks a justice that the mortal world just cannot provide. She journeys to a waterfall near where her son was murdered and calls out to an ancestral spirit known as the Water Guardian. She explains the terrible crime committed against her boy by his own friends, and she begs the guardian for guidance. The spirit actually agrees to grant her the immense power she needs to enact vengeance, but this power comes with a deeply, deeply horrifying price.
So, the crucial point here is the condition. The guardian tells her she would be completely wrapped in snakes from head to toe, with various other animals and worms clinging to her flesh, and she doesn't even hesitate. She accepts this absolute nightmare. She asks the spirit, "What if I destroy this entire village?" And the guardian simply tells her, the decision is hers.
They strike the pact, agreeing to meet at the stroke of midnight.
Section 5. Wet or dry? The tension here is just incredible. The midnight climax has arrived, and it is time for the grieving mother to confront the people who destroyed her family. Imagine this surreal, horrific image. It's the middle of the night. The mother walks right into the center of the village, her body entirely swarming with living snakes and worms. She seeks out her husband and all the villagers, and in a loud, echoing voice, she asks a seemingly bizarre, cryptic question. Wet or dry? The confused villagers look at her, probably terrified, and answer dry.
The suspense here is off the charts. For the second time, the snake-covered mother booms out the exact same question, wet or dry? And once again, the villagers reply, dry.
We've hit the climax. For the third and final time, she demands wet or dry. But this time, something shifts. The villagers, literally sealing their own tragic fate, give a different answer. They say wet.
The very second that word leaves their lips, the supernatural pact is triggered. It's visceral, unstoppable destruction. The earth begins to violently shake and tear apart. A massive, catastrophic landslide instantly buries the entire village. Then, water violently overflows, just a torrential flood that completely swallows the settlement. In a horrifyingly short amount of time, every single house, every single villager vanishes beneath the water. The entire village is wiped out, entirely destroyed as vengeance for the murder of Siwa.
Section 6. The birth of Tengku Siwa.
So let's transition now from the blood and mud of this ancient tragedy back into the daylight of the modern era, because the story doesn't end beneath the water. This site of absolute devastation is today known as Tengku Siwa, a super popular tourist destination. But as you can see, it is so much more than just a pretty view. It's preserved as a vital piece of regional cultural heritage, passed down from generation to generation. It operates on two massive psychological levels. First, as a timeless cautionary tale about the toxic, lethal danger of unchecked envy and jealousy. And second, as an awe-inspiring, frankly terrifying reminder of the absolute, uncompromising lengths of a parent's love for their child.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. When we look at still waters and beautiful landscapes, we often only see the surface. But next time you visit a beautiful natural landmark, will you wonder what dark secrets, what ancient tragedies, and what broken hearts might be buried just beneath the waters? Thank you so much for joining me to explore the haunting legend of Tengku Siwa. Keep asking questions, keep looking deeper, and I'll see you in the next explainer.